Oh, there we go. We got the buttons. We got the buttons. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh man, I clicked it like some milliseconds too early, or too late. Too early or too late, who knows? We gotta refresh the chat. It has disappeared once again on us. Where did it go? Make this wiggle around a lot. This helps. This helps with the stream when the microphone wiggles around like crazy. If you touch this thing, apparently it's moving a little bit. There we go. All right. What up, everybody? It is Memorial Day 2025, otherwise known as May 26th, 2025. Deep in the heart of 2025 already. You know what I mean? We're in it. Oh shit, Aquarium Adventures is here. Graham has arrived. He will quickly fall asleep during the stream. So we gotta figure out how to keep him entertained. How do we keep him entertained from falling asleep? He's gonna sleep on stream. He'll do an 8-hour sleep stream, just to let you know. Just in case if you need to tune in for some of the deep cuts, content. Good to see you, buddy. Hope all is well on your side of the pond. Yeah. Witchy Cat is here. What is up? Frank Dominguez, Joel G, Alyssa Bentley. Everybody's here. It's fucking Memorial Day, okay? It's Memorial Day, but don't you worry. It won't be Memorial Day for too long. I should have looked this up ahead of time, but I have to stretch my shoulder. I was working out yesterday. I was working super hard, moving earth with my human body. Wasn't the shitbird the orange buffoon saying he was going to rename this as Liberation Day? I think wasn't that what he was saying? Yeah. Oh, he's going to rename Veterans Day. Oh, he's gonna rename Veterans Day to Victory Day for World War I, while also recognizing May 8th as Victory Day for World War II. Oh, so we missed that because it's May 26th now. Because it's May 26th. Boo doo 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 doo. Oh yeah, bringing back Columbus Day. Oh yeah, bringing back Columbus Day for some reason. The racist buffoons have entered the White House. It's fucking, it's ridiculous. I don't even know what to say anymore. I don't know if you guys recently saw. don't know if you guys saw this. Yeah, this is a good. This is how ridiculous these assholes are. We literally this is literally what is happening with our current administration. This senile buffoon is in the White House talking to the president of South Africa and showing him pictures from the Congo. These are like we literally have a president who is just printing out memes from Facebook and just holding them up with his hands. Look at how degraded this guy is. He's falling asleep. He's falling asleep at the Pope. What, didn't he fall asleep at the Pope's thing? Yeah, he's showing images from the Congo. Right? He's showing images from the Congo to the president of South Africa to claim that there is a white genocide happening in South Africa. Which, by the way, where were some of the posts? Yeah, this guy right here. One of these maniacs from South Africa that was brought here. Charles Kleinhaus. Where are some of his posts? Let's see if we can't find his posts. He posted up a bunch of anti-Semitic nonsense, and these are supposedly the people that are being genocided. Yeah. Here's one of his posts right here. This guy with the weird cross. He says Jews are untrustworthy and dangerous group, as they are not God's chosen like we believe they are. These are some of the supposed like refugees coming from South Africa brought here specifically because the president thinks that there's a genocide happening in South Africa. And meanwhile we're fueling Israel to just bomb the shit out of Gaza, which, by the way, I've told you guys my piece on the whole Middle East nonsense, that they're all a bunch of religious zealots, and if they don't, if they can't figure out how to just live and not be shooting each other constantly, then I don't know if there's really any kind of anything to be done about the whole situation. Without getting some of the fucking religious brainwashing that has happened there out, right? But meanwhile, we're fueling that. We're fueling just like bombing the fuck out of these people. We're not helping the Ukraine anymore while they're being invaded by a fucking dictator from Russia, right? But yet we need to bring in refugees from South Africa that are supposedly being white genocided. I would need to look this up again, but I looked it up the other day. There was over 6,900 murders in South Africa, which is fucking wild. And when I looked it up before, it said that there were 12 white farmers had been killed. This is wild. South African Police Services crime report for the period from April 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023 shows there were 51 murders on farms of a total 27,494 murders nationwide, but the data has limitations. The race of farm murder victims is not consistently recorded in official data, said Anthony Kaziboni, a senior researcher at the University of Johannesburg Center for Social Development in Africa. Yeah, it's crazy how supposedly, 27,000 people were murdered, and yet 51 of them happened on farms 2022 to 2023. And suddenly it's a genocide of white people, I guess, somehow. I mean, the obvious thing is that, like, this has been going on for a long time with the fucking neo-Nazi shitheads in the U.S. and around the world, because apartheid was overturned, right? If most Americans don't have a fucking clue what apartheid is, let's look it up real quick for you so we can talk about it for a second. We're not talking about lumberjacking. Yeah, this is the great thing. Like, after World War II, South Africa, the Afrikaners in South Africa, the white ones, the fucking Dutch descendants, in 1948, they decided to institute an apartheid classification system that essentially the whites would take over, right? What's more racist than the last president's 50 years of racist drug laws? What are you talking about? I don't know. What's more racist than the ones he pardoned his white crackhead son for breaking? What do you mean, the gun charges that he had inappropriately filled out? The federal, what is that thing called? Federal. The ones he pardoned his white crackhead son for breaking. My point, as always, is the Democrats offer nothing better than Trump. Okay, I mean, I don't know. You're talking about the Democrats not posting or providing anyone better than Trump? I mean, the last election's a perfect example of them posting putting somebody up that's better. Oh, you posted the what the fuck emoji. If a black man was on video with half the crack Hunter had, he would be imprisoned for decades. On a on a video? Using Biden's 50 years of racist drug laws. Are you talking about the 1994 drug bill? Or the police enforcement bill? Because I don't know what to tell you about this, but like I was alive during this. I was alive during the 1994 fucking epidemic of crack violence and shit that was going on in the United States, and that crime bill was sponsored by tons of the black communities were supporting it because they wanted policing, right? To like fucking retroactively go like Joe Biden helped push a bill in 1994 that, by the way, was sponsored by a lot of black communities and supported by a lot of black communities. If there's some kind of like imaginary world where people think that like there's these communities in the United States that like don't want police, a sadistic DA from California is better. So like a rapist is better, like a rapist fucking New Yorker raised with a silver spoon up his ass, who, by the way, like bought in on the fucking Miss America pageant so that he could go into the fucking changing rooms, is somehow better than a DA, right? Like, get fucking bent, dude. That's ridiculous. But if you want to go back and talk about the crime bill in 94, right? If you want to talk about the crime bill in 94, we could do that. I was alive for it. I was around. And there was a huge epidemic and people wanting more policing in the United States. And that's what motivated it. I mean, if you're talking about 1994, that's coming off of Ronald Reagan, 8 years, Republican, who, by the way, went up against and broke unions in the United States. He offshored manufacturing in the United States. He got rid of the equal reporting, whatever the fuck that's called. The what's that? The fairness doctrine he got rid of, amongst the millions of other crazy fucking things that he did. He promoted getting rid of pensions. People lost their pensions. People lost their pensions because of Ronald Reagan, right? He converted people giving a shit about the stock market because you had to fucking retire with your 401k, which was not a thing before that. And then his vice president became president, George H.W. Bush, who, by the way, and also let's remember the DARE program, right? That's what Ronald Reagan brought. Ronald Reagan brought the DARE program to the United States. Let's also remember that Ronald Reagan closed all of the mental health institutions that were state sponsored, right? Closed all of those, and suddenly we had a shitload of homeless people, right? If you can't type out coherently into the chat, right? Tell me what the bill is then. What bill did Joe Biden sponsor that Ronald Reagan signed? Post it in the chat. Balthazar. Hold on. Actually, we got to go check out Balthazar's content real quick. We got to see what Balthazar has brought to the table. 20 videos. Balthazar says, I love to see the harvest of people reaping what they've sown. They joined October 26, 2024, and they've posted 20 videos. So let's see. Let's check out their content here. Holding a camera over a field. I guess that's content. This claims to be the addiction to controlling the lives of others is the most dangerous addiction. That's the most dangerous addiction, so fentanyl isn't? Fucking get the fuck out of here. Enjoy the apocalypse from Balthazar. Is there content? Is there talking on this? Do you make sounds? Or no, you just post videos of a fountain. Oh, here's a video of your cat. Do you talk about your cat, or is it just... Nope, it's just standing still, looking at a cat sitting outside. This is really good content. I mean, this is like earth-shatteringly, like really good content. This is Balthazar. If you guys are looking for like some of the best content that I have seen, here it is. Here it is, Balthazar, right here. Go check it out. There's somebody holding a camera, looking at a cat. I don't know if it's their cat. Who the fuck knows? He doesn't say. This is apparently like, this must be like a really important sunset video. This says the end is near. You are responsible. Pretty good content, Balthazar. Thanks. Thanks for your input. Very, very cogent. Very quality driven, I would say. Yeah. I would say it was fucking strong. Anyhow. Yeah, I mean, was Kamala Harris like a perfect fucking candidate? No, not for me. Not for me at all. But if you're talking about somebody who's going to not be like a brain-addled fucking degenerate, right? Who's clearly fucking losing their mind, who's probably going to die very, very soon, right? Somebody who likely would at least understand the pieces of paper that are handed to them and be able to read them, which I'm not confident that Donald Trump actually knows how to read. I'm going to be honest with you. If we're just going off of those standards, then Kamala Harris is by far the superior candidate, right? Joe Biden's definitely not my first pick for any position at anything. So, yeah, I'm not really here to defend Joe Biden, but I'm also not here to try and defend a crime bill that was passed in 1994, 30 fucking years ago, which, by the way, I was alive for. I was around. We talked about it. We covered it because I was alive when that was happening. And the epidemic and the lack of funding for fucking policing in the United States was real. Definitely real at the time. And I can tell you, like, the disparities that is going on at the time was out of fucking control. And one of the things I like to point to is, let's see, what was it? Under the viaduct... This right here is one of the things that I like to point out to people. Let's see. This right here. The following video was produced in 1986. Hold on. We lost the thing. The following video was produced in 1986. The skit was created as a misguided attempt at humor and added to the end of a training video. Upon viewing it, commanders judged that blah, blah, blah. Hold on. Upon viewing it, commanders judged... hold on, I gotta fucking pause this shit. That the video content to be inappropriate. Copies were ordered to be destroyed. But they weren't destroyed. Where are they? These are all Seattle police officers. This is all cops. This is 1986. This is almost 40 years ago, where the cops are saying all of these fucking drunken, drug-addled shitheads living under the viaduct will go to a sympathetic judge who will just let them back out. Right? This is the exact same fucking bullshit rhetoric that was happening during this last presidential campaign coming from Trump. Was it like, oh, these judges are fucking corrupt and they just want to let people out and blah, 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 right? And one of the bigger issues here is that more often than not, like, police don't even recognize who the fuck they're arresting. They don't even know what's going on. All these people, all these vermin, all just seem the same to them, right? But my point is that this has been going on for a long time. Like, we've had homeless people, we've had drug problems, we've had alcohol problems, we've had all sorts of shit like this going on for decades. And you got to think, like, this is the entire policing department in Seattle made. By the way, these guys had time to make their own music video, record it, and do all of that.
Just got a telephone call that a mobile terminal.
What does this guy say right here?
Up Video Magazine number 4. Now, Video Magazine number 5 is in the works already. We just got a telephone call that a mobile terminal is in town. They're trying to fit it into a car, see how it's going to size up to the car, the interior, and how they're going to be.
Yeah, this is like, this is in the, this is, they put this in the fucking instructional video, right? More to my point is that, like, this shit has been going on forever. Whoops. Did I just remove my own? I removed the wrong source. Which source is the camera? Here it is. And now it's all bigly. You guys can see everything that's going on in here now. We'll crop it down. Dude. So it fits. Because if it fits, it ships, right? So then we go like this. It's too big up at the top. And then we'll move this side over a little bit. Then we'll move this down. Then we'll scoop my ass over here. There we go. We're in the shot again. I accidentally removed the wrong thing. Let's remove this. There we go. Remove the correct thing. But yeah, like, you know, it's one of those things. Is like, we've been dealing with this situations for, you know, decade after decade after decade. And then it's like, okay, well, you know, the Democrats, you know, Joe Biden put forward a bill. Strom Thurmond stood up in the fucking Senate filibustering for 24 hours straight, pissing in a bucket so that he could continue his filibuster. He was peeing in a bucket, right? Because he was speaking and filibustering for 24 hours to filibuster the civil rights movement. And that's the modern Republican Party, right? So what kind of conversation are we going to have in terms of, like, oh, this political party, that political party? Like, there's two political parties in this country. You don't have, there is no opportunity to realistically vote for anybody else, right? So can we discuss how horrible the Democrats' candidates are? No. So Harris refused to prosecute cops who had used Biden's racist drug laws to turn a teenage girl into a cum dump. But you can't even cite what it is that you're talking about. That's like the bigger problem here. Like, if you're in the chat, you have every opportunity to post whatever it is that you're talking about. Post the people involved, and I'll look it up. Who is they have documentation? You mean like Reason Magazine? What are you talking about? Reason Magazine. Some fucking libertarian rag of nonsense. Hold on, first. Let's look up. Let's look up who owns it. Do 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 do. Oh my god, I need to buy a thing. Oh, so have we managed to accidentally get an Ayn Rand reader in here? Is that the deal? Kamala Harris is a cop who wants to be president. Reason magazine. Read the article. So weak, try to disprove those arguments and facts. So weak. If you want to prove something, post up on your YouTube channel what you want to prove. You wanted to prove a fucking video about your cat. You wanted to post a video about your cat. Post a video about whatever the fuck it is that you're talking about. Put your face on it and talk about what you're talking about. I'll watch the video. I'll watch it on stream. I'll give you a live critique. I'll give you a live critique of your content. How about that? I could lear a lot from my content. You don't have any content. You have zero content. Post something up. All right, let's read the article here. In the years since former California Attorney General Kamala Harris entered the national public life, first as a U.S. Senator, now as a leading candidate for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination, one strain of criticism has surfaced again and again. It can be captured in just 5 words. Kamala Harris is a cop. The phrase, which is a candidate, which the candidate's critics use frequently, is meant to conjure more than just Harris's history as a hard-nosed San Francisco prosecutor. It's colloquial. To label someone as a cop in this way is never to invoke the best behavior one might expect from police officers. It implies the person is a bully, a bootlicker, a professional tattler. The sort of person who shuts down an unauthorized lemonade stand run by kids. A cop in this context is someone who will always defer to authority and the status quo, someone who is unaccountable and not to be trusted. Calling someone a cop invokes the worst sorts of police overreach, a legalistic authoritarianism that exists for its own sake. During her 28-year tenure as a county prosecutor, district attorney, DA, and state attorney general, AG, Harris proved quite willing to live up to that epithet. In the public eye, she spoke of racial justice and liberal values, bolstered her cred as one of the Democratic Party's rising stars, but behind closed doors, she repeatedly fought for more aggressive prosecution, not just of violent criminals, but of people who committed misdemeanors and quality-of-life crimes. Every attorney general fights for state power and police prerogatives. It's part of the job, but over and over again, Harris went beyond the call of duty, fighting for harsher sentences, larger bail requirements, longer prison terms, more prosecution of petty crimes, greater criminal justice involvement and low-income and minority communities, less due process for people in the system, less transparency, and less accountability for bad cops. So far, zero evidence, all opinion. The path to power. Harris was raised in Berkeley, California, the daughter of a Stanford economist and a respected breast cancer researcher. This is just all like, what is this? Just like a puff piece? Like, besides increased prosecutions, Harris also had the city's money and power at her disposal. I mean, this is all literally like, so right here, the Examiner reported in October 2003, at which point Harris had already spent about $500,000 on her campaign after she blew through a voluntary $211,000 spending cap that she had previously agreed to abide by. She was rebuked by the city's ethics commission, resulting in a $34,000 penalty. So political ad campaign shit, she spent too much money, which, by the way, I could go through the list of Republican fucking maniacs who have done that. Hold on. Should we see if, what's his name? Let's see here. Rand Paul's 2016 presidential campaign committee fined $21,000. Louisville, Kentucky. U.S. Senator Rand Paul. Rand Paul's 2016 presidential campaign committee has been fined $21,000 by the Federal Election Commission for improperly handling contributions, according to documents obtained by a newsletter. The penalty follows a 2016 complaint made by J. Russell Lloyd, the former chairman of the Louisville Democratic Party, according to a letter the FEC recently sent that was addressed to Lloyd. The FEC said the committee didn't refund or redesignate contributions of $165,000 to within 60 days of former President Trump winning the 2016 Republican nomination. So Rand Paul, your libertarian god, was fined also for the exact same thing, essentially. But in office, Harris would revise, not completely reverse, many of her previous stated principles. In 1994, California had passed a three-strikes law under which a second felony conviction automatically resulted in an enhanced sentence, and a third felony conviction automatically resulted in 25 years to life. At her inauguration, Harris promised that she would only use three strikes when the third strike is a serious or violent felony and never charge the death penalty. Barely a year after taking office, Harris encountered a defendant who had previously been charged with a serious crime and was then being charged with a nonviolent third offense, illegal possession of a handgun by a felon. She pushed for a three strikes application, seeing 25 years to life in prison. Okay. If you're a felon and you illegally have a handgun, what are you going to use the handgun for? Right? What is the intention of the felon having a handgun? Like, what's the intention of that of the felon to have a handgun, right? She pushed for a three strikes application seeking 25 years to life in prison. When you talk about crimes that involve guns and certain sex offenses, while they're not defined by the penal code as serious, they are serious. She told the Associated Press in January 2005. Harris' position boiled down to an argument that she alone would define which offenses deserved a sentencing enhancement, and in her view, weapons charges always counted. So, what's funny is that you quote. So you have an article like this where you quote the person, right? Here, I'll just put it on screen so you guys can fucking read along with me. So what you do is you have a quote from the person, right? And then she told the Associated Press in 2005. Now you immediately go back to the opinion part where Harris' position boiled down to an argument that she alone would define which offenses deserved a sentencing enhancement. And in her view, weapons charges always counted. So fundamentally here, you go, why did you go from reporting with a quote? Why did you go from reporting with a quote to immediately over to an opinion piece, right? Right here. Now you're back into the opinion again, right? She would eventually abandon her anti-death penalty stance too. In 2014, as State Attorney General, she appealed the decision of a judge who had ruled that California's capital punishment scheme was unconstitutional, arbitrarily applied, and plagued with inexcusable delays. Curiously, she said the ruling undermines important protections that our courts provide to defendants. Let's run through this, I guess. She would eventually abandon her anti-death penalty stance too. Okay, at what point? In 2014, as State Attorney General, she appealed the decision of a judge who had ruled that California's capital punishment scheme was unconstitutional, arbitrarily applied, and plagued with inexcusable delays. So supposedly this is the highlighted reason. We would have to go read whatever this appeal is, right? So a judge had ruled that California's capital punishment scheme was unconstitutional, arbitrarily applied, and plagued with inexcusable delays. So, and then she said the ruling undermines important protections that our courts provide to defendants, right? So then now we would have to go into law and go read this and read what the appeal is and read what this is about, what this judge's ruling is about. Harris supporters argue that as AG, she had a duty to defend the laws of the state as they were, regardless of how she felt about them. But just a few years prior, she had declined to defend another California law facing a federal challenge, Proposition 8, which prohibited same-sex marriages in the state. I had no intention of spending a penny of the Attorney General's office resources defending Prop 8. Harris writes in her 2019 book, defending the death penalty did not provoke such resistance. Which we would have to go look up Prop 8. I forget what that one was about. Which, by the way, is cited as 2008, not 2014, right? Proposition 8, known informally as Prop 8, was a California ballot proposition and state constitutional amendment intended to ban same-sex marriage. It passed in the November 2008 California state elections and was later overturned by the courts, right? Because the Constitution supersedes whatever your fucking bullshit state laws are, right? Oh, hold on. I'll open the green room today. I forgot. Oh, we already have people in the green room. I gotta get in here. There we go. Hey, what's up, dude?
Hey, dude, not much.
I'm trying to remember Prop 8, which I don't even I don't remember Prop 8 that much because I remember it being stricken down and it was just ridiculous. Legal challenges to Prop 8 were presented quickly after its approval. Following affirmation of Prop 8 by the state courts, 2 same-sex couples filed lawsuit in the United States District Court for the Northern District of California in the case Perry versus Schwarzenegger. Yeah, by the way, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the fucking governor at the time. In August 2010, Chief Judge Vaughn Walker ruled that Prop 8 was unconstitutional under both due process and equal protection clauses of the U.S. 14th Amendment. Since Prop 8 purported to remove rights from a disfavored class only with no rational basis, the official proponents' justifications for Prop 8 were analyzed in over 50 pages covering 80 findings of fact. The state government supported the ruling and refused to defend Prop 8. The ruling was stayed pending an appeal by the proponents of Prop 8 on February 7th, 2012. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, in a 2-1 decision, reached the same conclusion as the district court, but on narrower grounds. The court ruled that it was unconstitutional for California to grant marriage rights to same-sex couples only to take them away shortly after. The ruling was stayed pending appeal to the United States Supreme Court. On June 26, 2013, the Supreme Court of the United States issued its decision on the appeal in the case Hollingsworth versus Perry, ruling that proponents of initiatives such as Prop 8 did not possess legal standing in their own right to defend the resulting law in federal court, either to the Supreme Court or previously to the Ninth Court of Appeals. Therefore, the Supreme Court vacated the decision of the Ninth Circuit and remanded the case for further proceedings. The decision left the district court's 2010 ruling intact. On June 28, 2013, the Ninth Circuit on remand dismissed the appeal for lack of jurisdiction and dissolved their previous stay of the district court's ruling, enabling Governor Jerry Brown. Oh no, Jerry Brown was back by then? Oh, fucking Jerry Brown. Piece of shit. To order same-sex marriages to resume. Which is wild, because even Jerry Brown was like, oh, let's just follow the law at this point, right? Which, by the way, if we actually go back to what it says here, where was it? It said it in here. Where was it? Oh, it was in the state. Was it in the state court? I think it was in the state court. Where was it, Witchy Cat? There was a part where I was reading where there was the state legal challenge was saying to not spend any resources on it.
She said she was going to not spend a penny. That's about where you quit. She wasn't going to spend a penny of the AG's
She
budget.
wasn't going to spend a penny because one of the rulings I just read said to not spend any money on this.
Yep.
Well, I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to remember where it was.
Right about where you paused. Probably about half a paragraph above.
Page 25. The state government supported the ruling. Blah blah blah. I mean, I guess I could find it again if I really needed to, but the judge had ruled to stop spending any money on it. So it's like, if you're saying that Kamala Harris was somehow wrong
for not spending.
Here where she said she wasn't, I had no intention of spending a penny of the Attorney General's Office of Resources defending Prop 8. That's because the judge ruled her to do that, right? Which, by the way, is the DA's job, to enforce what the courts tell her to enforce, essentially, right? So if this quote is right here, I have no intention on spending a penny of the Attorney General's Office resources defending Prop 8, that's why, because that's what the judge had ruled. And so if you're like, well, Kamala Harris sucks because she's doing what the judges say, like, I don't understand. I fully don't understand, like, where your, like, criticism is at that point. I mean, I guess, unless you're, like, a fucking huge Trump supporter where you, like, are just willing to suck off whatever, what did you call it, a cum dump? Like, if you're a cum dump for Trump, right? Like, then I guess you probably have a problem with judges, I guess, at this point, right? So I guess that's probably the reasoning behind it, I guess I would say. All right, then there are drugs. Harris was much tougher on them than her predecessors had been. Uh-oh, she's tough on drugs, which by the way, every Republican critic out there, every little fucking libertarian think tank that makes fucking commercials about this shit is that, like, oh, California is such a fucking dump. It's such a bullshit state. San Francisco is such a, oh my God, it's unbelievable what's going on in San Francisco. But this is what you wanted. You wanted a DA to enforce drug laws, right? Like, this is what you want. Isn't this what you want as a fucking Republican guy, whatever? Sorry,
a Trump of every tariff in place.
Sorry, like a Trump cum dump. If you're a Trump cum dump, what you want is, in your words, right? In your words, the Trump cum dump, right? Then you would want a DA that would be enforcing drug laws, right? Because San Francisco is so bad, right? Because San Francisco is, oh my God, it's just so much crime. You wouldn't want somebody who's not tough on crime? You want somebody who's not tough on crime, apparently. I don't know. It seems like polar opposites of what you are supposedly say that you are for.
Yeah, you'd think that since she's a cop, that would be their favored choice.
Let's see. But then let's see. Then there are drugs. Harris was much tougher on them than her predecessor had been. Hamlin considers narcotics a low priority. The Examiner noted and once again, it's just like they're quoting the Examiner. The Examiner noted in January 2004, and that stance drew criticism from the law enforcement community. But the narcotics detail is enjoying a better working relationship with Harris. In the 3 weeks since since she had taken over, DA reviews of drug arrests cases had jumped 25%. So, by the way, this is what cops wanted, right? Like, you wanted a cop.
Exactly.
I don't know. By 2005, Harris was also turning against the city's decade-old drug court, which allowed some people arrested on nonviolent possession and small-time sales charges to go to a city-run addiction treatment program as an alternative to incarceration. Successful completion could lead to the charges being dropped. In an op-ed that year, in the San Francisco Examiner, once again, we're back at the Examiner. Do these guys do any of reporting on their own, or do they just cite the Examiner? That's my question. Does Reason.com, the supposedly independent libertarian think tank fucking amazing magazine that you want me to read, do they report on anything on their own, or do they just read the Examiner and copy pasta everything from it in here? Because that seems to be the case so far. The only citations that we've had so far are the Examiner, which, by the way, the Examiner is highlighted down here. The Examiner is likely highlighted a bunch more times, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll go through your very important document here that you really wanted me to read. By 2005, Harris was also turning against the city's decade-old drug court. Oh, we talked about this. In an op-ed that year in the San Francisco Examiner, Harris complained that people had learned how to manipulate the system by simply claiming to be addicts. She proposed barring anyone who had previously sold any quantity of a drug from the drug court and the chance it offered for lesser sentencing, even if the current arrest was for mere possession. Okay, so here you go. This drug court, which, by the way, if you've ever been to drug court, which I have, unless you're like some libertarian fucktard who has no life experience other than posting videos of your cat sitting on a fucking patio somewhere. I've actually been to drug court, and one of the things that they highlight in drug court is that this is for your first charge. This is for the first time. Like, if you're somebody who just had some weed or you just had some coke and somehow a cop ran into you and got a hold of you and you got arrested somehow, and they go, this person isn't a drug dealer, this person isn't like a career criminal, this person isn't whatever. It's like, but we found some drugs on you and that's illegal. You could get deferred. That's what it's called. Deferred prosecution is what this is called. You get deferred to the drug court. You go to the drug court. You can explain with your lawyer about, hey, look, I just recreationally do drugs, blah, blah, blah. It's a problem. Maybe I don't want to do the problem anymore. And instead of doing 2.5 months in jail for possession, I would rather go to a treatment facility and do all of my required treatment with in a what's realistically like a professional setting. Now, some people would say, oh, this is super light on crime. I would say this is realistically a beneficial program more than it is a detriment. Now, one of the big downsides to going to this, you have to fucking pay for it, motherfucker. Right? This shit ain't free. You go to fucking treatment, you got to pay for this shit. You are going to accumulate bills. You're going to accumulate bills for doing this, right? This shit ain't free. It's going to eat up time because it's something that you have to go physically do. You can't just log in on YouTube and post a 1-minute video that you took on your cell phone of a fountain somewhere. You can't do that. You actually have to go and spend the time there. And you're going to have to talk to counselors, and you're going to have to talk to addiction professionals who will know all of your little bullshit fucking lies and shit that you like to tell people, right? And you have to pay for it. The urine analysis is not free. You got to pay for fucking them to test your piss, and you got to give it to them. And by the way, somebody watches you pee into the thing, right? Because untrustworthy people bring fake piss with them. If you believe that, they do. They bring a bag of piss in their underwear with them, and then they put that piss into the thing. So nowadays, especially nowadays, they gotta go in there and stare at your urine stream, right? And in order to do that, you have to have somebody who's at least a medical professional and has reasonable medical aptitudes, right? To being like, hey, I'm a nurse assistant or whatever. I'm going to be gazing at your meat package while you pee into this jar, and you got to pay for that shit. You can't just have nurses and shit hanging around and not pay them, right? So they got to be paid. And that's what this drug court is. That's what drug court is. Drug court is for somebody who, oops, you had some weed. Oops, you had some fucking yay. Oops, you like to take some magical mushroom rides on the weekend or something, right? And you got busted, and that's a problem. Now, fundamentally, if you want to know my beliefs on this, I am in recovery. I have 10 years sober. I know all about this shit. This is something I would say that I have a strong expertise on, right? Is drug treatment, addiction recovery. This is something I know about. And if you wanted to know how I think this stuff should be policed, I personally don't think it should be policed. I think it should be legalized. If we can legally buy tobacco, if you can legally buy alcohol, which will kill you, like for sure. If we could legally buy Viagra, right? Like nowadays you could just buy Viagra by like clicking some shit on a fucking webpage somewhere and get some blue chews, right? Like every libertarian fucking podcast under the sun is telling you about blue chews, probably because libertarians have problems getting erections because they're so fucking effeminate that their dicks don't work right. So you got to tell them about the blue chews and the HGH, the hormone, the human growth hormone, right? Because fucking Rand Paul doesn't inspire you enough to fucking get your dick hard, right? Anyhow,
well, when you refer to women as cum dumpsters.
Well, they're busy being cum dumps, right? Yeah. Anyhow, more to my point, this shit should all be legalized. Recreational drugs should just exist. If you're wondering where all of these drug laws came from, look no further than your man, your Republican king, the guy who has his face tattooed on the back of one of the advisors of Donald Trump, one of the closest advisors to Donald Trump, Richard Nixon. And who's that shithead that has him tattooed on his back? He wears like fucking what is he? He wears like, what is it? He wears a bunch of fucking. It's not. What's his name? I can't remember his name now.
Not Miller. I don't know. I don't know his advisors other than Miller well enough to answer that.
Roger Stone. That's the guy.
Oh. Old school advisors. Yes, sorry.
He still is. He's still very prevalent.
Oh, I know, but he's
guy.
Gotten very silent though.
This fucking freak has Richard Nixon tattooed on his back. This fucking maniac, this maniac piece of shit, has Richard Nixon tattooed on his back, right? And by the way, if you're wondering where those drug laws came from, they came from this guy right here, who's tattooed on this guy's back, and guess who's right to the left of him? Roger Stone, hanging out with old Ronnie Reagan, right? Where do you think these fucking drug laws came from? Where do you think these arcane, retarded, fucking bullshit, backwards thinking, fucking libertarian think tank having fucking bullshit laws came from? Where do you think they came from? These fucking clowns right here. This fucking clown show. That you somehow think that Trump is going to somehow do anything to save you is fucking beyond my comprehension. I don't understand what's wrong with your brain. But anyhow, let's go back to this like prevalent, this really important thing.
All right.
Anyhow,
He's gotten his
the notion that there, and like I said, like my stance here is that this shit should all be legalized, regulated. You should be able to get whatever. I don't even know, like what's a dosing of fucking. Hold on, let me look up something that's like abjectly insane. What a Because I'm trying to think, like, what is? Oh yeah, we can't have any like you can't have like any reasonable reporting on this shit. So it's going to be very difficult to find because everything's going to tell you that you're going to overdose and die. So let's go deep into the pages. Let's go 20 pages deep. Okay, here we go. We'll just look up crystal meth. Here we go. What's a reasonable dose of crystal meth? I can't think because I just used to eat it like candy and snort it like candy, so I don't even know what the dosage you're supposed to take. But let's say let's just say for conversational, I'm not an expert in dosing any drugs, so let's be aware of that. Okay, I'm not giving anybody advice on what drugs to take, but let's say that like 10 milligrams of crystal meth or whatever dosage, I don't know, was reasonable, and you could just do that like you were drinking coffee. I don't know what it is. I'm not a doctor, so be clear about that. And you could just go onto Amazon, right, and order that because that's what you like to do, right? That's how I personally feel about it. It's the same way that you could go onto Amazon and order yourself something that could create what we all think is a myth, but is not. You could buy this vibrator right here and supply the female orgasm for your first time ever, libertarian. What was your name? Balthazar Albergati. Balthazar Albergati. You could go onto Amazon, click this link, and you could provide the first female orgasm that you have ever provided to anybody in your entire life. Just a simple click of the button. You could go over there and do that. Totally legal. Federal Trade Commission requires that I tell you that I will get a commission, though, if you go over to Amazon and click through the links and buy a bunch of shit. So I've done that now by saying that out loud with my mouth hole. But yeah, that's an Amazon link to go buy a vibrator if you want one. And it'll be able to supply the thing that you've probably thought was just a myth the entirety of your life. Something that the liberal media, the cuck media or whatever just made up, right? To make you feel bad, because whatever sex victims you've lured into your dungeon were unable to reach climax. There we go. Is it rude enough for you? I think it's rude enough. Anyhow, moving on. Yeah, we have confirmation from someone who was in the room at the time Nixon made the decision to start the war on drugs. It was for political reasons only, so he could go after people he didn't like. Yes, that was the whole fundamental reason why this war on drugs has existed. Right? In 1969, free love, right? In 1969, Woodstock, free love. People were just putting their genitals together and smoking weed and drinking beers and doing whatever. And the powers that be, right, the libertarian powers that be realized that, holy shit, we're going through a fucking revolution here. And what we should do is figure out how to put all of these people into prison. And they started doing it, and they kept doing it. And they kept it up, and they kept it going. Right? They criminalized drug use. They criminalized sex. They criminalized everything that anybody likes to do in their spare time, essentially, except fucking watch YouTube videos, apparently. But that's all suppressed anyhow, right? So, by robots and machines now. So, U.S. prison population timeline.
This should be a fun uphill graph.
It's fucked. We need a timeline that actually goes back. Oh, here it is. Right here. Strangely enough, if you look at historically, the United States prison population, very odd, because guess what? Here's what it looks like right here. Strangely enough. Right in here. See that? We go... Yeah. We go rapists, we go murderers, we go thieving criminals, we go bank robbers. Then somewhere there's a red line right here, right? Start and peak years for the surge of mass incarceration. And it just goes through the fucking roof, right? Do you see the date here? Do you see this date? The date. Strangely enough, 1972. What? Huh?
I would have expected 71, but okay, 72 works too. Yep.
I mean, it's 71, 72. They don't pass laws in 5 minutes. It takes time.
True, it does.
And then you go to enforce them. So it's like, if you're talking about like if this is what you don't like, for instance, right? Like that Kamala Harris was enforcing law, right? And you don't like the law, right? And so you don't like these laws, right? And then, but Kamala Harris was enforcing them, right?
How dare she?
But your animosity is towards the person that is like doing their job well, right? As opposed to the people that put these laws into place and the political party that still wants to enforce these laws and increase the insanity of these laws, right? Like, never mind the fact that deaths from fentanyl went down when Joe Biden was in office. Never mind the fact that violent crime went down while Joe Biden was in office. Never mind the fact that what was the other point that I had? Was it fentanyl deaths? I don't know. Those all went down while Joe Biden was in office. But your animosity towards the Democrats, apparently, from this standpoint, is that the drug crimes are bad. I'm not 100% sure. Which I'm not 100% sure where your stance is coming from. But reading this really sounds like, oh, she was enforcing the drug laws. So your animosity is towards the person that's enforcing them versus the people that implemented them, right? Because who the fuck do you think, what political party do you think has legalized marijuana, for instance? Who do you think those people are? What?
So it certainly isn't the Republicans.
It's 100% not Republicans, okay? Like, I don't even consider myself a Democrat necessarily. Like, I'm a social democrat, which is not which is not remotely like just a Democrat. Like, I'm just going to vote for Democrats, period. I'm going to vote for progressive candidates that want to do social democracy, right? Like, that's my important foundation is solidifying democracy as best we can, right? Like, that's my foundational belief, is enforcing and implementing democracy as best we possibly can, right? We have the technology, we have the means, we have the money, we have the power, we have the ability to do all of that. But there's a giant roadblock in the way, and it's people inspired by Strom Thurmond to filibuster for 24 hours straight that black people would be allowed to vote, right? Like, that's fundamentally what is happening in the United States. There's a group of people that, because Jesus told them, there's an imaginary, like, magical person that lives in the sky that no matter what happens, the magical bearded guy who lives in the sky will give you a free pass to do whatever the fuck you want, right? And that is oppress people at all points in their lives, and then just ask for forgiveness later because you want to maintain power, right? And money. It's really like what it boils down to. Let's continue on this important op-ed that somebody posted highlighting everything they read in the Examiner. What's up?
I said no. All right, go on.
You don't want to? I don't know. We could talk about something else. Somebody else could post something and tell me I don't know, I'm a fat retard or something. I don't know. Tell me whatever. I don't care.
The 80s? You're not. Okay.
What's that?
First off, I'm pretty sure Balthazar has left the room.
I don't care. I mean, whatever.
About 25 minutes ago.
You want to?
No, it's fine.
I was told, hey, you should read this article. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to read it. But if you guys don't want me to read it, I'll do something else.
Come on, guys. Chip in. Oh, nope. Sarah says go. Go on.
Okay, what were we talking about?
Drugs.
In The Truths We Hold, Harris details an experience that she says served as a defining moment in her career. In the story, an innocent bystander is caught up in a drug bust. Harris, then a clerk at the DA's office, makes sure the woman sees a judge on Friday afternoon instead of the scheduled Monday hearing so she doesn't have to spend the weekend in jail. Which, by the way, this is what police do, period. This is what good prosecutors do. This is what good lawyers do. This is what good judges do. So you don't have to spend the weekend in jail. The reason for that is that dipshits that haven't been to jail ever don't know the difference between jail and prison. You've watched TV show after TV show after TV show. Every fucking TV show you ever watch will highlight prison and not jail. Okay? There's a vast difference between the two. One of them being people that are in prison are in long-term, over a year fucking sentences, right? Which is why you get your own room. You have a roommate. You have to not drop the soap. You get it. You get all the adages because somebody will have sex with you when you don't want to. So you're trying to not have sex, and somebody will try to have sex with you real bad. And you're not going to drop the soap. That's prison. Jail is not that. Jail is not prison. Jail is a whole bunch of people in one room and a bunch of cots and shit, right? And the reason that this isn't that any good cop or any good prosecutor or anything like that will defer you having to stay in jail and get your arraignment finished is people will often get arrested on Friday night, right? Because you went out, you were drinking, something happened on the sidewalk. There was a scuffle. Some libertarian started telling you about how Ayn Rand is super smart, and you told him that Ayn Rand is a fucking joke and a goddamn mar on humanity, right? And then they got enraged, and you got in a bit of a scuffle. Everybody was fine, but the cops got called, and you got to get dragged down to get arraigned, right?
Yep.
Any good prosecutor will look at you and go, or any good prosecutor, any good police station, stuff like that will go like, wait a minute, this isn't exactly the person that needs to be here for the next 71 hours or whatever until the weekday arraignments, right? If you aren't incapacitated, if you aren't like out of your fucking mind, they will defer your arraignment to Monday morning and let you out. Instead of putting you into a jail cell, or it's not even a jail cell, it's a room. A big-ass room with all the other fucking people that are cycling in on the weekend, right? And it's an extraordinarily dangerous environment because most of the other people that are getting picked up are the other people that are fighting about Ayn Rand books, you know? All the other Ayn Rand book street fights, they're all coming in there too. And then you're all going to be in there together. And it's not only is it a danger for the people that you're holding in jail, it's also a danger for the people that are trying to maintain the jail, right?
Yep. Careful.
Right. And so the last thing they want is to have a super unsafe environment for the people that work at the jail, because those are their co-workers, right? And they also don't want a super unsafe environment for citizens who there may or may not be a big reason for them to be there long term at all, right? Because they got in a shouting match with some super libertarian Ayn Rand fan, right? And so there's a reason for that. This is normal. And this is normal behavior from our system that we have.
Get them in, get them out.
Yeah, continuing now. The book doesn't disclose what ultimately happened with the woman's charges, nor does it contain any reflection on what caused the police to arrest her in the first place. Harris doesn't question the kinds of operations that sweep up bystanders with little thought. Okay, we're back to op-ed again. We're back to just fully op-ed bullshit. Instead, she paints a woman as an extraordinary case, one of those rare instances where justice isn't being served, but one well-meaning official can make all the difference. By contrasting the bystander's innocence with the obvious criminality of most others in the system, she tactily accepts the premise that drug users should be rounded up and thrown in jail. What the fuck is this fucking sentence? Instead, she paints the woman as an extraordinary case, one of those rare instances where the judge isn't being served, or where justice isn't being served, but one well-meaning official can make all the difference. Okay, coherent sentence. So she's painting that people in the criminal justice system can be well-meaning and make good decisions, okay? By contrasting the bystander's innocence with the obvious criminality of most others in the system, she tactily accepts the premise that drug users should be rounded up and thrown in jail. Like, what is this sentence? By contrasting the bystander's innocence with the obvious criminality of others in the system. So you're giving a yin and a yang that, like, this bystander's innocence and the obvious criminality of others in the system. She tacitly accepts the premise that drug users should be rounded up and thrown in jail. What the fuck is this statement? What are you trying to say here? The United States Penal Code, and especially the Penal Code in fucking California, says that drug users should be rounded up and thrown in jail. That's the law. Like, if you're whacked out on heroin, you should get thrown in jail. That's the fucking law, man. Is she supposed to change the law as the DA?
Or
like, just
ignore it?
write whatever the fuck she wants? Which, by the way, is why these people love Trump. They think that this is the power that has been assigned to Donald Trump because he won an election, right? That he should just be able to change whatever fucking laws whenever he fucking feels like. He's taking a shit on the toilet, tweeting at people on Twitter. He's just tweeting hard in the middle of the night, just making shit up wherever the fuck he goes with his fucking printed out YouTube, Facebook memes that aren't even in the country that he's talking to the president from. Because, by the way, I would guarantee you, without a doubt, Donald Trump probably thinks the Congo is in South Africa, even though they're 4,000 fucking miles apart. And two completely different countries, right? Because most boomer-ass fucking bullshit Americans, like Donald Trump, think that Africa is a goddamn country.
Yep.
Hold on, let's look this up. How far is the Congo from South Africa? Oh, it's going to be far. Jesus Christ, it's in goddamn kilometers.
Uh-oh. Not math. God damn it.
Sorry, it's 3,440 kilometers away. Kilometers, right?
They're shorter than miles, but not by a lot. So it's probably, what, about 2,800 miles from...
It's far, is what I'm saying. It's countries away. Hold on, we'll look at it on the map here.
Several countries.
Here we go.
Because that area is filled with little teeny tiny, smaller than state-sized
No,
countries.
South Africa's down here. And not to mention that, like, most everything is going on down here on the coast and shit in South Africa, right? But then you got Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, Angola, Zambia, Tanzania. Before you even get to the DRC, which is way up here. You know, but it's just, you know, it's just Africa. It's just one place, right? You know, it's just, it's one country, which, you know, most boomer fucks in the States don't know what's going on.
It's got a giant mountain in the middle of it, right? Kilimanjaro or some shit?
No, they don't know what's going on. Anyhow, moving on in this bullshit, just enforcing the law. One catch-all answer criticism of Harris goes like this. As district attorney and state attorney general, she was required to enforce the law. Thus, enforcing bad laws shouldn't count as a mark against her. Okay, oh, here we go. We're addressing the previous op-ed with more op-ed. Got it. Which, by the way, it's just enforcing the law. Yes, that is literally the job. Is to enforce the laws that were voted on by the people, right? Yeah. And and if there's ever a question, there is a system in place called the court, which we highlighted earlier, talking about Prop 8.
Yep.
Harris herself has implied this. Asked about her defense of the California Department of Corrections for denying sex reassignment surgeries to transgender inmates. And here we go. Now we're on the transgender thing. We immediately jump into this transgender issue, right?
How many issues can we shove into one particularly long, badly written op-ed?
Yeah. Asked about her defense of the California Department of Corrections for denying sex reassignment surgeries to transgender inmates, she answered she had a host of clients that I was obligated to defend and represent. Yes, over 40 million people live in fucking California, which is wild. Yet no one forced Harris to become a county and state prosecutor or to stay in the job for so long. Oh, no one forced her to do it, guys.
Oh,
No one forced her
hate
to be in the
that.
job. Guys, no one forced her to be in the job. Okay.
She could have
Well,
been
we
a
have to
kindergarten
accept
teacher.
we have to accept this as truth now, guys, because no one forced her to be in the job. No one forced her to be on the job. Guys,
We're
never mind.
suddenly back in
Capitalism
the
isn't
fifth
real.
grade.
First and foremost, like, capitalism isn't real. Kamala Harris could have just not worked. Guys,
Oh, that too.
she could have just chosen to not work, right?
This is a
There are
step
plenty of
above
positions.
because-
There are plenty of positions, including quite powerful and politically advantageous ones, for a promising and ambitious law school grad. Harris chose a path that involved punishing people for violations of laws she has said she believes are unjust. And once in that system, she often pushed for tougher enforcement of those laws. In any case, it's a mistake to paint prosecutors as automatons who must blindly pursue all offenders. These positions, especially at the top levels, come with an enormous amount of discretion about what individual cases to pursue and what the priorities of the office will be. In 2005, Harris herself told the Examiner, oh, here we go, the Examiner again, that DAs have a great deal of latitude. Okay, well, I guess because this, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. A 5-word quote from the Examiner, once again, a 5-word quote that says a great deal of latitude. Can you even, Jesus Christ, you know what we need to do? We need to find that 2005 Examiner fucking article is what we need to find. 2000,
Just read that.
2005 Examiner article on Kamala Harris.
Be in the op-ed section because this is just one guy shitting on top of another guy's turd in an unflushed toilet.
Okay. Oh, this is a SF Gate. Okay, here's an SF Gate article. San Francisco Gate article. Halfway into her term as San Francisco's district attorney, Kamala Harris wins praise from colleagues for bringing professionalism and innovation to the office, but has been unable to quell police criticism for her handling of criminal cases, particularly homicides. Harris, the first career prosecutor to serve as the city's district attorney in decades, took office with a pledge to be smart on crime. She has pushed hard to update the office by bringing in technology and outside expertise. She promised to crack down on drug and gun crimes, which she sees as primary causes of many of the killings in the city's African-American neighborhoods. And she said in a recent interview that attacking the decade-high murder rate has been a priority of this administration from day one. The violence is tearing apart the communities I care most deeply about, she said. It is tearing me apart as well to see who is being killed on a regular basis by whom. Knowing it is predominantly young kids of color in poor communities wiping each other out distresses me like I cannot explain. Yet police, who chafed under her predecessor, Terrence Hallinan, have been as vigorous in their criticism of Harris. Her track record on crimes doesn't match her rhetoric, they say. They accuse her of having been slow to prosecute numerous murder suspects. We'd like to see homicide cases charged earlier, said the Deputy Police Chief Morris Tabak, ahead of the department's Investigations Bureau. When people are dying, we are obligated to do everything possible. Captain Tim Hederick of the Narcotics and Vice Units credits Harris with tightening loopholes in bail and drug programs that defendants exploited, a change that has resulted in more suspects facing jail time. But he said Harris routinely offers favorable deals to resolve cases short of trial and refuses to prosecute others. What this is about with her is conviction. The percentage of convictions compared to other district attorneys in the state of California, Hederich said. Harris, whose office has touted a 90% conviction rate in homicide cases, says her overriding concern is whether justice is being done. It is not a question of winning or losing as though this is a sports game, she said. It has been defined as, has justice occurred in the process and the outcome? Justice does not necessarily occur if you put all of the expectations of the community, all of the resources that are necessary to putting on a trial, to just go for it, in air quotes. Knowing that you don't have the evidence to convict, Harris said. Because in that process, a guilty man is getting away with murder, and the community is certainly not winning. After he had the job for 8 years, Hallinan left his office in disarray, critics say, with top prosecutors leaving or retiring, and many cases languishing. There were files that literally couldn't be found, said Harris's chief assistant, Russ Giuntini. We couldn't find out who charged the cases. Hallinan, a former defense attorney and city supervisor turned prosecutor, survived a series of blunders over 2 terms. But by the time Harris defeated him in November 2003, his staff was demoralized. He was wounded politically in the fallout of the Fajita... What the fuck is this word? Fajita Gate?
I don't know, but now I'm hungry.
What the fuck is this word? Fajita Gate? Fuck. We gotta look up Fajita Gate.
Apparently so.
Oh, it's in San Francisco. Okay, Fajita Gate was a series of legal and political incidents in San Francisco, United States that began with a street fight outside a neighborhood bar between 3 off-duty San Francisco police officers and 2 other local residents over a bag of fajitas, leading to numerous civil and criminal complaints, police misconduct allegations, and eventually the resignation of the city's chief of police and deputy chief of police. On November 20th, 2002, as reported the next day in the San Francisco Chronicle. Why wasn't it in the Examiner, guys? Why wasn't it in the Examiner? Was it the Examiner was where we were getting everything from? Anyhow.
Yes, it was the Examiner.
San Francisco residents Adam Snyder and Jade Santoro were approached as they were leaving the Blue Light Bar by 3 men, later identified as Officer Alex J. Fagan Jr., or Alex Fagan Jr. Sorry, the Alex J. Fagan came out. Sorry. Alex Fagan Jr., the son of Assistant Chief Alex Fagan.
Uh-oh.
He's the son of the Assistant Chief. We got legacy cops here beating up people for fucking fajitas. Come on now. Officer David Lee and Officer Matt. What's that?
Got to be some damn good fajitas.
They got to be fucking top tier. I'm telling you. Officer David Lee and Officer Matt Tonsing, who demanded Snyder and Santoro give them their box of takeout food. When they refused, the off-duty police officers physically attacked them. Santoro was seriously injured, suffered a broken nose and a contusion. Snyder called 911 on his cell phone and reported that Santoro was being beaten. He identified the attackers to the responding officers as 3 men who drove past the scene in a white pickup truck. The pickup was stopped, and 3 off-duty police officers were identified, questioned, and released. No arrests were made that night. The scandal subsequently expanded and would take until 2005 to reach a resolution. Accused police officer Alex, I don't know if it's Jay Fagan, Alex Fagan Jr. was the son of San Francisco Police Department Assistant Chief, later Chief, Alex Fagan. He even became the chief, Alex Fagan. It was subsequently alleged by the San Francisco District Attorney Terrence Hallinan that the elder Fagan, Chief Prentice E. Sanders, and 9 other officers were involved in a cover-up in the initial crime acts of the 3 off-duty officers. Sanders and 9 other senior officers were indicted by Hallinan and arrested on February 28, 2003 for the crime of obstruction of justice. Sanders took a leave of absence due to the charges, and Alex Fagan Sr. the next most senior officer automatically became the acting chief. What? Acting Chief Alex Fagan Sr. in turn resigned in early 2004 and was replaced by Heather Fong. On January 22nd, 2004, the court cases against senior police, did they get convictions here? What happened? We got to figure this out.
Oh, man. But if this restaurant isn't famous for all these, there's a crime.
Many officers were charged by the Office of Citizen Complaints for misconduct in the incident. In March 2007, Inspector Paul Falconer and Lieutenant Henry Parra successfully challenged their misconduct charges in a closed hearing of the police commission. They were exonerated of all charges brought against them. In March 2007, many of the officers charged by the Office of Citizen Complaints made deals with the San Francisco Police Commission for time off. At the end of the hearing, one police commissioner stated it appeared that none of the officers charged had done anything wrong. On June 2006, a civil jury found Fagan and police officer Matt Tonsing liable for damages suffered in the beating and awarded plaintiff Jade Santoro $36,500 in damage. The jury found for Tonsing, but against Fagan, and awarded Snyder $9,500. The jury completely exonerated Lee, and Snyder was ordered to pay both Lee and Tonsing's defense costs. A federal court dismissed a civil rights lawsuit against the city of San Francisco in 2006, a decision upheld on appeal in July 2008 on the basis that the plaintiffs had not shown at trial that any police policy or practice was to blame for the officer's conduct. Holy fucking shit, look at this. You want to talk about some fucking bullshit? A federal court dismissed a civil rights lawsuit against the city of San Francisco in 2006. A decision upheld on appeal in July 2008 on the basis that the plaintiffs had not shown at trial that any police policy or practice was to blame for the officer's conduct.
Right.
So they couldn't prove in court that there was somehow a police policy or practice. So they threw it out of court. They threw it out at that point. Yeah. So because it wasn't a policy, they were just like, yeah, but what the fuck, man? You know.
Yeah, the city's not responsible. These guys are just assholes.
Yeah. So it's just like, what the fuck is going on? Okay, so we're back to this, trying to figure out what Fajita Gate was. Okay, there we go. Okay, we figured out Fajita Gate. He was wounded politically in the fallout of the Fajita Gate scandal after the obstruction case fizzled that he had championed against top members of the police department, including the chief, which I'm not sure. It seems like you at least got the dad to resign and you resigned and a bunch of shit happened. I mean, it sounds like something happened. I don't know.
Right.
Police, who had long faulted the district attorney's office as being too lenient on drug and gun cases, cautiously embraced Harris as the antidote to everything Hallinan. The prospects for a new partnership appeared to be good when Harris assumed the job in January 2004, pledging to work better with police from the start. She soon brought in top-flight prosecutors such as Valerie McGuire, who had worked in Solano County's homicide unit, and espoused a professional demeanor and an emphasis on being smarter in combating crime. Harris also took on the professional and political trappings that Hallinan shunned. She became active in state and national Democratic politics, attending the Democratic National Convention in 2004 and aligning herself with Senator Barack Hussein Obama.
Oh, no.
The first African-American male Democrat elected to the Senate. So she got... This is funny. Like, look at how they even throw this in. He wasn't president. This is... By the way, this is before he was president. This is before Barack Hussein Obama was president. But they will highlight this in this article. The first African-American male Democrat elected to the Senate. They got to throw that in. She's been aligning herself with the first black man, the black guy, the first black senator, the first black male senator. Guys, she's aligned herself with the black male senator, the first one.
You know what that means?
Barack Hussein Obama, the first African-American male Democrat elected to the Senate. Guys, do you see the writing on the wall? She's aligned herself with a black senator. Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, this is how fucking people would write about shit. And they still write about it now. They just do all this weird bullshit about transgender and whatnot, which is like the other article, which we may go back to, but we're probably going to run out of time. Anyhow, she embraced the California District Attorneys Association, a group in which Hallinan associated only reluctantly. Many began to see the 41-year-old top prosecutor as a candidate for higher office. Defense attorneys, some of whom complained that Hallinan was inept, soon noticed a change in the district attorney's operation. As a defense lawyer, it's harder, said Jim Collins, a longtime critic of Hallinan. The office has become more professional and better at prosecuting crime. The deputies are working harder. There's more oversight. I think the plea bargain offers are getting tougher. So right here, a defense lawyer is literally telling you that they're doing a better job at being the DA. And it's making it harder to do their job defending people. I don't know how to say this guy's name. Gary Delagnes? I don't know. Head of the police officers union said Harris is a prosecutor. She understands what a prosecutor is. Her office, he said, tries to work with the police department in a way that Terrence Hallinan never did. Hallinan said that for all his troubles with the brass, he had a good working relationship with police. I knew that, for example, the narcotics people didn't agree with my approach. I was into treatment rather than incarceration. Okay, so this is, so by the way, this is Hallinan's program. The treatment shit is Hallinan's program. Did we drop out? We may have dropped out. Oh, there we go. We got our chat back. Okay, fucking chat dropped out and made me wonder. My green room is gone.
Hallinan said that all tries to.
Oh, I hear you.
I hear you now. You went away.
Did I drop out? I might have dropped signal. Who knows? I may have been talking about Kamala Harris or whatever, and we may have just lost. Did we lose all signal?
You were dancing around. You danced around so much, you knocked yourself off the internet.
I know. You start talking about Barack Hussein Obama. Next thing you know. Look at this. We got no super chats, no new members, only 8 likes. What the fuck is this? This is a fucking rigged scam. A rigged scam. We should have more likes. We only have 14 viewers today anyhow, so what the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah,
what are we going to do?
Early.
What are we going to do, man? I try to advocate for things that I care about, and that means that fish tank people get mad and send me, what was that guy's name? Abernathy Ballasnally? What the fuck was his name?
Albergabati Boops. I don't know.
Who the fuck knows? I don't know. Anyhow, we'll go back to this, and we'll run through this. We only got 5 minutes, so who knows? We'll see what we got. I got people coming over for a barbecue. Oh, this is too long. But anyhow, it's basically telling you that, like, as a district attorney, she was doing a good job prosecuting people and doing shit. Do you want somebody that's apt at doing the job? Do you want somebody that's capable to do the fucking job? This was the person that was capable to do the fucking job. And for so many people out there that are like, she wasn't even qualified. She was the vice president, you fucking dillholes. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, she already was the vice president. Like, what do you think the qualification to be the president is? Like, well, they have to have been the president once before. Well, what the fuck? How do you ever get a president then? Because we got to get Woodrow Wilson out of the ground and elect him next time because he was president once before.
Via
Right.
possession. We're going to get a Ouija board and put a past president
Yeah, and I mean, like, the reality is that, like, these people like that guy, who's probably a fake guy, whatever, Albergati, that seems made up. Balthazar, definitely made up. Which my name is made up on YouTube too, so I get it. But you sound like a made up person and not real. But like, let's say that Balthazar is a real guy, and he definitely reads these articles, right? Now, one of the things that I would like to point out is that, yes, I am a nutty person, and sometimes I don't have the specific words to spit at somebody when they type something into chat. Because it does take me some time to process whatever the fuck weird random shit people post into the chat. My bad. I don't have the perfect eloquent words sometimes, and I guess that's my bad. But ultimately, I would guarantee you that the Balthazar Albergati guy, if he even does read those articles, which I seriously doubt. I seriously doubt he even reads it. I'm sure that he chats with people that read or write those articles or whatever, and they are just in agreement, and they all wear the same shirts and these stupid red hats. They wear these dipshit red hats around because they're part of a sports team, essentially. And they all just agree with each other that the libs are bad and whatever, you know, that the progressives are bad, that, you know, Bernie Sanders is a bad guy because he has $1 million, even though he's fucking 80 years old and he's been working the entirety of his life and making a good living and investing money. Why wouldn't Bernie Sanders be a millionaire by now? Even just from selling a Bernie Sanders book, right?
Right.
Maybe go read his book. Maybe his book is good. I haven't read it. I don't feel like I need to read a Bernie Sanders book. I'll be honest with you.
Bernie pretty much puts it all out there. There's no real reason to go and read it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck is he writing about. I don't know. Anyhow, more to my point is that the Balthazar type people, when they read those articles, if they even do, which I highly doubt, when they read those articles, they don't go down the rabbit hole like I do. They don't go down the rabbit hole like somebody who actually gives a shit about this stuff, right? There's no critical thinking. There is no finding corroborating evidence. There is no like, hey, why is the Examiner the constant, attributed citation in this op-ed, right? Which it is an op-ed. That wasn't like I'm doing critical reporting. It's just an opinion editorial, which is the same shit you find in the New York Times. What is it where's the op-ed section in the New York Times? Was it like op-ed?
I thought it was just the op-ed section
in the New York. In the New York Times. What section is it? It's deep in there. It's not in the front because you're not reporting.
No.
You're not reporting something. You're writing about the preference of whether you like tuna fish or ham sandwiches. That's all it fucking is, right? And the op-ed pieces are now supposedly news. Like, you got to go to libertarianreasonmagazine.com and then read someone's opinion that is not reporting, right? But nowadays that's air quote news, right? You go on Fox News, they report opinion. That's why Tucker Carlson lost $787 million in a lawsuit because he was lying about the voting machines being rigged, right? And it's because he was just posting his opinion, but they post it as news, right? They call themselves Fox News. This is a news channel, right? But then whenever they go to court, they say, oh, we're like Jon Stewart. We're just a caricature. Like, we're just making shit up, or whatever, right?
It's infotainment.
It's infotainment, yeah. And so, like, ultimately, like, this is the problem that we have in the United States is that, like, people are not looking up anything that corroborates or going into, like, Fajita-gate. Somebody would have just skipped past Fajita-gate and just been like, yeah, all right, if you have Fajita-gate, yeah, okay, that happened, let me go, blah, 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 right? And, and as highlighted earlier in the comments of, like, talking about Joe Biden posting the crime bill, right? The crime bill from 1994, 30 fucking 1 years ago, right? And what was going on in the United States 31 years ago? Because people will just say the Biden crime bill and leave it at that. That's how they post shit. That's how they post shit. Right? That's
No
how they post shit
context,
into
no-
chat. It's how they post shit into chat. And it's how and it, you know, and like one of their comments earlier, Biden's 100-to-1 crack laws was specifically designed to target people darker than Hunter. He wrote the demonic racist bills. You forgot Reagan to spell that, and then signed, right? And you're like, okay, are you talking about the 1994 crime bill that Joe Biden backed? Because in 1994, news fucking flash chief, Ronald Reagan wasn't the president of the United States.
As
Right?
I say, he's talking Reagan.
By
then
then, we'd already gone through 4 years of his vice president, who, by the way, was the previous head of the CIA, George H.W. Bush, right? And we were on to Billy Clinton. We were on to old Billy Clinton by then, right?
Yeah. Yeehaw. Wasn't the whole drug war, drug czar thing, that was under first Bush. That was his whole thing.
Yeah, the drug czar thing was HW. And, you know, and it's like, but that's the issue is that, like, if I had that person on the phone, we could get some clarity, right? Like, we could get some clarity of, like, are you talking about the 1994 bill? Are you talking about a different bill? What's the bill? What are you talking about? And they would go like, oh, there was a different Joe Biden bill before that one. Right. And you're like, okay, well, Reagan didn't even sign it, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Second of all, Republicans were fundamental in writing that 1994 crime bill. Who signed on to it?
Got it passed for,
I forget who
what.
who co-authored it because I don't remember every fucking bill known under man.
Right. And I
Jack
thought
Brooks.
that it was
Jack Brooks of Texas.
passed.
So this violent the big crime bill was pushed by Joe Biden, but it was written by Jack what's his name? Jack whatever? What the fuck?
Brooks.
Jack Brooks. Who's a Texas Republican, right? And
wasn't it passed in trade for something else? I can't
here's a
remember.
good one right here. Here's a good citation right here if you wanted to read. Historian Michael Javen Fortner cites high crime rates as a likely cause of black support of the bill, as well as the bill's funding of crime prevention and rehabilitation programs. Like, I've read about this period of time. I was alive in this period of time, and I read about everything that was going on. I was in Junior Statesman of America at the time, and I spent a lot of time advocating against this stupid shit that was going on, right? And more to the point of the crime bill being a big problem for people in 1994, me included, was the extension of these harsh criminal convictions of people that were essentially just using drugs, right? And I wholeheartedly still don't believe that the way to get people to stop using drugs is to throw them in jail, right? Like, you're going to throw them in prison because they smoked meth? Like, what is that going to do? They're like, well, you're going to take them off the streets because then they're not going to be able to do drugs no more. And it's like, okay, well, are you going to get rid of the existence of drugs? Like, no, well, we're going to fight the drugs from coming into the country. And you're like, you can get the chemicals here and make them. Well, we're going to stop the people from making them. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? Right? Like, it's a long laundry list of fucking stupid bullshit. And by the way, there's no way to fund it other than, like, taking in tax dollars and giving it to somebody else to go prosecute this bullshit. Right? Like I said earlier, think that we should 100% legalize all of these drugs. regulate their production, right? Like with a solidly funded Food and Drug Administration, use the USDA to oversee the production of this stuff, produce it here instead of producing it in China, and tax the living fucking hell out of it so we can fund programs to help people to stop doing it, right?
Yeah.
And so that people will stop taking fentanyl on accident when they're just trying to trip on the weekend, you know? They're just trying to go trip and go dance, right? They're trying to get some ecstasy and somebody sells them fentanyl and then they have an overdose and fucking die, right? Which, generally speaking, and like I will say once again that I'm not an expert, but if you got, you know, essentially professionally made MDMA, it's not going, you're not going to overdose on it. Generally speaking, from a guy with no expertise, just calm the fuck down. And you're going to see the same kind of thing that happens with cigarettes. Yes, you're going to see detrimental behavior that happens, but you're going to see less deaths. You're going to see less fucking bullshit. And we're also going to have a way to fund treating these people. Right? You're not going to get rid of drugs. Like, you can look up on the internet, like, how to make some drugs. Like, I'm not advocating that people do that, but the knowledge exists in the human race on how to do it, right? And you're not going to erase that. What are you going to erase people's minds? I mean, obviously, it's bad enough for these libertarians that are reading these op-ed pieces thinking that they're, like, reporting information to them.
Right.
But you're not going to erase like people's memories to get them to like stop making drugs. But what you do have to do is fund social programs that help fucking communities, right? We as a people 100% need to do that. And it's not an option. This is not optional. You cannot turn your back on the community that you live in and expect positive outcomes. It is not going to happen. We are social creatures. We only make headway with cooperative working together in a society that makes sense. And by the way, like I said, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it over and over and over and over again, if people want to do drugs, they're going to do it. Right? You do have to provide information. You should provide at least a reasonable way for people to get and access the things that they want to do, as opposed to going to a crack house in a weird ass fucking neighborhood with a guy who you obviously probably can't trust. Give him a cash transaction.
If you're lucky.
Right? That is also, that money is going to be funneled back to whatever nefarious fucking shit. Right? You know, I constantly hear from Republicans concerned about human trafficking, but yet you don't want to nip this in the bud. You don't want to figure out a way to make this a system that people could actually access. They want to keep it a crime. They want to enforce this stuff as a crime, as a way to fucking suppress our communities and our ability to work together and our ability to have a fucking cohesive fucking society. Like, that is literally the reason they want to do this. Right? If you look at Portugal, I'm not saying that Portugal is a perfect place, but Portugal is a good example of that. They legalized all the stuff. Did everything work perfectly? No. Portugal is a small country that is trying to do whatever they're trying to do, right? But the United States, we have fucking nuclear weapons, okay? You're telling me that we can't produce and regulate and tax this stuff and then utilize those tax dollars to build our communities? We could have fucking golden roads all around this country with flying cars and shit by now if we weren't fighting a war against goddamn ghosts. We're out here shadow boxing with ghosts of dead people, right? To try and fight a war against drugs, okay? And we're fueling trillions of dollars into it over the last fucking, 5 decades? Because some hippies were fucking to
In bed.
Jimi Hendrix. A black man playing a guitar left-handed and upside down. What is this world coming to? Right? Like, a black man playing a guitar upside down and left-handed. Left-handed, the sign of the devil. Which, by the way, that's another fucking bearded guy in the sky thing. If you were left-handed, you were of the devil. Do you understand how fucking fundamentally demented these fucking Jesus-worshipping freak show people are? They will find that you write with your left hand and try to ostracize you and tell you that you are going to hell for some imaginary eternal amount of time. Their bearded guy in the sky is going to deftly punish you into some kind of lake of lava where somebody comes and fucks you when you don't want to be fucked, right? Like, all of those things are going to happen to you for eternity, by the way. Billions of years. Billions of years. When Carl Sagan talks about billions of years, that's not even the tip of the iceberg. The bearded man in the sky is going to punish you for eternity. Like, trillions of years, because you wrote down on a piece of paper with your left hand as opposed to your right hand. What the fuck is wrong with these people? But then they go, oh yeah, we don't believe that anymore. And, because Protestants are the ones that, they got rid of slavery. So obviously, like, the church is good, right? And you're like, the Protestants got rid of slavery? Are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me that the atheists of the North would accredit, they would accredit the Protestants for getting rid of fucking slavery? Are you shitting me? Are you fucking shitting me right now? Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk, you fucking hack shill freaks. I do not know why people give you money. It's beyond my comprehension. I do not fucking understand it. Other than you've been tricked because people don't want to look up the shit that they're hearing. They don't want to look it up. They don't want to go, what was that thing? Let me look that up. What was that thing? Let me look that up. Let me get some context from what this person is trying to tell me right now. And this is a call to action that I need people to send me more Discord clips. Send me clips of these, like, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, fucking Tim Pool, these goddamn fucking charlatans, and I'm going to start reviewing them on the live stream. I need you guys to start feeding me that shit. Look it up, find it, send it to me, because I do not have time to timestamp all of this bullshit. And we can easily start going through articles live, because right now the Donald Trump administration is disassembling this country because people have been brainwashed by beanie-wearing fucking Russian grifter freaks. Is fucking beyond the pale, and I do not understand it, and I am going to try to convince one person at a time, individually, that you are fucking... You've been tricked. You've been scammed. You've been fucking hoodwinked. You've been whatever word you want to come up with. And we're running out of time. I got to go do a barbecue, so we're going to end the stream on that fucking note. Become a YouTube member or whatever. Who gives a shit? I'll be back next week.